Hey everyone. This is probably going to seem a little random, but for those of you that know me, I've been making a lot of changes in my life in the past months, years. And I thought I would take some time and just kind of walk through what that's looked like, what I'm using to help kind of ground me in that change and help me make progress through. It's definitely not been one single thing. It's been a culmination of a lot of different changes in my life, new practices, perspectives that have really kind of helped get me to a place where I am today, which is a place that I feel probably more grounded and better than I really ever have. I've been getting a little bit more introspective over the past few years. It kind of started with taking some breaks from drinking, kind of stepping outside of partying all the time, and taking time to invest in myself a little bit. But really kind of all of this change culminated from something that happened at work about a year ago. We were having a Shark Tank filming, and there was high stress, there was a lot of pressure, and there was some pretty significant difference of opinions, and I did not handle it well. We got to a point in the project where I got into fight or flight mode, and the project was too big. There was no flight was not an option, without totally letting the entire team down. So I went into flight mode, and I kind of lashed out at multiple people, but it really kind of culminated when I lashed out at someone who I didn't think that I would have ever lashed out at. And we got through the filming, got through that week. It was an intensive amount of work and a lot going on, and the weekend came and I went out and raged. It just had been such a stressful week, and then I woke up that Sunday morning and kind of had this realization, like, I've got to fucking change this shit. Like, I know that there's something inside of me that's causing me to kind of project whatever underlying issues I have on those people around me. And even if there were other factors in that situation, I needed to take ownership for what my contribution was to the situation. And when I reflected, I knew that I needed to make some pretty deep level changes. I wasn't grossly unhappy or depressed or anything like that, but I think for years I kind of felt sort of like I was in an elliptical pattern or running on a treadmill, like going hard and fast, but really not going anywhere. And this was last August. I also knew that I was gonna have a pretty intensive holiday season ahead of me and needed to make some changes right away that were gonna have an impact pretty immediately. I am a person that's guilty of all or nothing thinking, and my tendency when I want to make change in my life is to be very grandiose about it, where I'm going to change every facet of my life and commit to this and go all in. But those grand commitments are always over my motivation curve, and I'll do it for a day or two, and then when I don't do one, then I don't do any of them, and then I'm right back to where I started or worse. So I focused on what was going to have the highest impact in the moment. So when I reflected, I realized that all of the time I was investing in having fun and drinking was really preventing me from investing the time in kind of cultivating growth in myself. The week would be stressful. I live downtown. It's easy to get caught up in going out, and there's always someone going out to hang out with. Go out Friday nights, Saturday brunch, Sunday night, Sunday brunch, Sunday fun day, and then feel like shit on Monday, and then it's Tuesday before you feel good, but then the work week is stressful, and then you get back to the weekend and you're doing the same thing again, and just like this cyclical pattern repeating. And I knew that if I didn't remove the kind of distraction of going out and creating fun and the distraction of having to recover from that fun, that I might actually be able to get something of substance accomplished. So I put drinking to the side. I connected with a therapist, and I started meditating. Those were kind of the three most impactful actions that I took heading into the holiday season. And it was a really good thing I did, because the holiday season was the most challenging holiday season I've ever experienced, whether it's working in retail, working at Tipsy Elves. I was on the road traveling the whole time. I'd be up at 3, 4 a.m. I'd be online till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, going, running, traveling, overseeing people in 5 different areas. And without having some sort of grounding, I'm not sure that I would have been able to get through it. What was great about connecting with a therapist, and I actually ended up using Talkspace so that I was able to keep connected while I was traveling, because I knew practically I wasn't going to be able to check in personally in San Diego with a therapist every week or whatever frequency. And what was really great about that is the Headspace app is what I used, and meditation gave me the tools to recognize when I was chasing and running down an emotion and catch myself in the moment through the practice of noting. And instead of going down and reacting in an unhealthy way, which I might have done in the past, I was able to first catch myself by practicing those tools given to me in meditation, and then partner with my therapist to help me understand what those emotions are telling me and what a healthy way to work through and process them would be. I still got to experience the emotion, but I was able to respond and work through with the support of that therapist rather than react. So I kind of got in a routine of and rhythm of doing that. Not drinking allowed me to not add extra stress onto the kind of insane pace of the holiday season, and then beginning the practice of meditation and working with a therapist were kind of the very foundational elements to really start making some momentum forward. Fast forward to January of this year, we get out of the holiday season. I survived it. It was hell. It was really terrible. It was just kind of every disaster that could happen happened every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. So I got to January, and because of that intensive amount of work, I also came out of the season with a ton of PTO. I had 10 weeks of vacation to use heading into this year. So I knew that I was going to be in a place where I was going to have the time to focus more completely and round out the other parts that I needed to shift to really create growth in my life. So once January came, some of the other things I needed to focus on were my nutrition. When I was traveling, it was Postmates, Grubhub, every meal, gross restaurant. I was comfort eating, so I needed to take care of that and start holding myself accountable to what I was eating. I needed to physically, I was working on my mind. I needed to work on the physical self as well. And then I needed to balance out my responsibilities at work so that I could protect the time to keep all of those practices in play and reduce the ability for that amount of stress to exist in the future. So when January came, I started tracking all my food through MyFitnessPal. I invested the money in working with a trainer. I've definitely lost weight a couple times in the past, and although that was great, it was almost like I shifted my fixation from one thing to working out or running. And this time there was no grand click. I knew I just needed to start moving forward. So investing the money in a good personal trainer, I worked with Kyle at Fit. And I knew that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I needed to be there. I paid for it in advance, and it was not cheap, but it really was an investment in my health. And between eating better and not starving myself, I eat 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day, and that still keeps me in a deficit with the amount of work that I put in at the gym. And with consistently working out, I've dropped 40 pounds this year. I'm sleeping so much better. I track my sleep every night with a pill app on my watch, and I was sleeping anywhere between 50 to low 60s in terms of percent of recovery every night, and now I'm 60s to 80, sometimes I get up to 90, usually on the weekend, but I feel that difference, and even just that alone helps me wake up with a total different energy in the morning. But to put all of these into play consistently, I have really found value in a routine. So I thought maybe I'd just chat through that routine a little bit and kind of give some insight into how I'm using these tools and what personally is making sense for me. I'm a morning person and my motivation lies in the morning. So I knew that if I was going to continue to implement more practices to keep this change moving forward in my life, I was going to need to align that with when my motivation was the highest. So thankfully I was able to connect with work and get some flexibility added into my schedule where I get online early in the morning to check in and set up my day, and then I can go in the office a little bit after normal starting hours. Right now I get up at 5 every morning, and I love that. The minute the alarm goes off, I get up. I do not snooze, even though I use Alexa and I could just shout out at her. I get up. The first thing I do, and I love this, because I want to start the day intentionally releasing scarcity. So when I put my left foot on the ground, I say thank. When I put my right foot on the ground, I say you. To start the day with a moment of gratitude from the start, I think really helps me. You get up and you have that sense of calm, and then the anxiety starts to take over. That kind of pushes that out, and as I come into consciousness, immediately gets me into a grateful mindset. Then the first thing I do every day, I have just gotten one of these Moleskine. I ended up getting the planner. I'm on like my third or fourth one of these. But I do a gratitude practice. So I write 3 things I'm grateful for the day, and I tend to like to do non-physical items. Like this morning I wrote, I got a good night's sleep. I'm grateful for being well rested. We're finally getting sunny morning, so I was grateful for the sun being out this morning when the sun came up. And I finally got a big task on my work list done Sunday afternoon, so I was grateful for finally tackling that. And then I set 3 intentions. Today I am, and today I put, I'm adjusting. I've been in a calorie surplus the last couple weeks, which was intentional, shifting my workout routine a little bit. But today I'm shifting back to a 90-day challenge where I'm going to be in a 700 calorie deficit going forward. Kind of got to get the abs the rest of the way out there. We're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm going to keep myself in line at 3,000 calories, and I set each thing as today I am doing this, and then I visualize what that looks like so that I'm priming my brain to make sure I put that into my day. And then I do I don't know if you want to call it an affirmation, but it's the final 2 lines of the poem Invictus, which is featured in the movie Invictus with Morgan Freeman. But it's, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. And for me, that's a really grounding statement to start my day, that no matter what happens, I'm in charge of how I handle my response to that. And I am in charge of keeping my soul at peace. So no matter what happens, I can maintain a state of gratitude and be in a grounded place. And then I put random lists in that, but that's the first thing that I do. Something else I've been consciously working on when I got into the new year and had more time was I have been reading a lot more. Some feedback that my boss gave me was that it would be valuable for me to focus on becoming an expert in my field versus my tendency in the past has been I want to understand and be an expert at everything, and all that makes me is a master of none. And I want to be a master of something. So I've been focusing on reading books dedicated to leadership, personal growth, customer experience, business, startup world, all of that. And one of the books I read is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I was a little apprehensive to read it at first because it's got a very strong underlying theme that's more religious. But I think anyone can relate to it if you just if that doesn't resonate with you, you can just kind of pull that part out, and the themes are really, really powerful, I think. But one of the things Stephen Covey talks about in that book is creating a set of personal values, and that really got me thinking. I have done something similar in the past where I do like truth practices, and I kind of do something like that I'm gonna talk through, but defining a set of values that this is how I operate, this is how I intend to operate, has been another really great tool, because when I find myself slipping in motivation or in those moments where I'm bargaining, doing this versus this, I have these set of values to say, this is how I intend to live my life, and does making that decision align with those values or not? So after I do my gratitude practice and make my bed, I forgot to mention that. I make my bed before I go to the bathroom, before I do anything. Make my bed, say thank you as I put my feet on the ground, open the blind, and the alarm is off. Gratitude. So then I go through and I reflect on my values. And besides my values, I have also just some other thoughts that I ponder on as I'm reflecting on my values, and I'm just going to go through this. So the first thing I have on my values note, I use Evernote just to keep this in because I constantly revise it and update it, even if it's wording, whether it's adding values to it. The first thing I have is every damn day you can have results or excuses and not both. And then I go on to my vision. My vision is to live as the truest version of myself. Going back to what I was talking about being in a position where I was kind of projecting internal issues, when I came to understand those better, it was really a lack of self-love and self-compassion and not feeling enough or good enough. And so for me, if I can be the truest version of myself, I'm going to be the most secure version of myself, the most grounded version of myself, and be in a place where I exude good energy out to those around me. So to do that, my mission is I'm going to proudly live my life with audacity, with courage, and with authenticity. And I'm going to embrace all of my imperfections. For me, audacity speaks to bravery, and it's different than courage. I think bravery is a precursor to courage, and I think I need both of those to be authentic. And I do all of that to grow my body, my mind, my soul, and my life. I sit comfortably in the journey, smiling warmly at progress along the way. I'm really bad about once things feel right, I feel the need to move. I am constantly unsettled, and I think that ties back to a feeling of insecurity within myself. And as I found that sense of security, I felt more settled where I am and finding that I am enjoying the journey. I pursue growth to be a better human and to contribute joy and light internally and to the world around me. And then this is really important, and this is a nod to Brené Brown. I am enough. I don't have to be this version of myself I'm envisioning to be good and accept myself right now. And that was a powerful realization that helped me start making a lot of those changes. And I'm not there. I have plenty of moments where I have all sorts of self-doubt, but keeping that in my mind is helping me work through that. And then I have something that I actually shared recently on Instagram from Brené Brown on authenticity. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. And a small example of where I'm making progress there is my new watch band for my Apple Watch. The one I had was disgusting, and I was sitting on the sofa on the Apple website. I was like, I'm just going to get another black rubber band for it, which is what I had on it. And I found the Pride band, and I have never been very comfortable overtly expressing pride. I kind of assume that there's an understanding, or if someone asks me about it, I'm always very open. That actually doesn't bother me at all. But to just overtly on myself proclaim that part of me has been something that I've struggled with from a vulnerability standpoint, allowing myself to be vulnerable. So for me, this is a step in authenticity. It's a little uncomfortable. I just got it on Friday actually, and I still find myself going back and forth between it giving me an enforcing kind of courage, like I have the audacity to say I'm gonna wear this, like to myself, not to anyone else, but to myself. Anyway, it's just a small way that I'm working on being authentic, kind of a minor practice of exposure therapy, I guess. And then I have my vision, I have my mission, how I'm going to make that happen, and I have what my values are. I value pride of body, I value growth of mind, I value my soul at play, I value connecting in life, living, and I value creating good. So within those, there's kind of supporting focuses that help me align to those values. So for body, I'm going to put my health first. I'm going to eat well through quality nutrition, and like I said, I track it, and that helps me. Now it's like I literally don't eat anything until I put it in that app, and even if I happen to not be my phone, I literally have to go get my phone and put my food in, because it's just become such a habit at this point. I proudly live alcohol free. Now this is an interesting one. I have taken several breaks from drinking in the past few years, and every time I do, I start to make some progress in my life, and I can even see it in my gratitude journals, because if I go back to drinking and going out, all of a sudden there's days that aren't filled in my gratitude journal, probably because I was hungover, or I went straight from doing that to something and didn't take the time to do that. And I can see the disarray in those journals that I know was in my mental space during those times too. And I can see in the lack of word and effort there, the lack of growth in my life, because I was using that as a distraction from focusing on the growth that I needed to focus on. So I've drank in the last year, since last August. I think I didn't drink for about 9 months, and then I've had a couple weekends at home here in San Diego where I've had drinks, and then when I was in Europe, I drank that whole time I was on vacation. And at this point, I'm back to not drinking. I think it's been a month since I've drank, and I'm focused back on getting in swing for the holiday season. And when I talk about not drinking, I feel like we're still conditioned to just accept that drinking is a societal norm, that I've been a little reserved about it. And so I've changed this, instead of living life alcohol-free to proudly living life alcohol-free. It is good for me to remove that distraction, because if I want to create good, that happens when I remove that distraction. Because if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out and I rage. There's no like throttle. So recognizing that and just owning that has been so good for me in my personal growth, and I'm going to be proud about that. So to also support my body, I'm going to protect quality sleep, and I track using the Pillow app. I wear my watch at night and just charge it for an hour in the morning. I'm going to stay hydrated. I carry a Swell bottle around with me. I think for my height and weight, I'm supposed to have 6 of those a day in between, as long as I'm at the gym and walking. Like, it's hot in San Diego, it's 80 degrees, which is probably a cool way for most places in the country, but it's hot here, so I'm drinking plenty of water. And then for growth of mind, I have that I maniacally focus on growth. I want to be reading something, articles, news every day, and constantly be learning. I want to be an expert in my field. I want to be curious with my emotions. And this has been a huge thing. I actually experienced a lot of anxiety this weekend, and I couldn't place it. But in the past, I would have just gone out or ordered a bunch of shitty food. I would have gone into these numbing behaviors. And now I'm saying, okay, what is that emotion trying to tell me, and how can I work through this in a healthy way? Can I go work out and kind of physiologically get that energy out of my body? Do I need to connect with my therapist and get her insight on it and see if she has any tools that I don't have already? And so I just kind of sit with it and process it, and maybe it's I listen to music, or maybe it's I just turn everything off and go silent, or maybe I watch TV. But curious with my emotions helps me not react, it helps me respond. Also, something really powerful for growth of mind is seeking to understand first and then be understood. I am very bold in my opinions, and I'm very direct, and that has gotten me nowhere fast and made situations pretty terrible more often than it has helped. So I realize that I can still be direct and assertive with my point of view, but it's so much more powerful if I understand the other person or the group or the situation better, because then we might already be in agreement. It helps me frame my perspective better to not be on the defense going in, or to assume that I need to be. And in the past I have, and I still do. Sometimes it gets the better of me every now and then, but I'm being much better at it. And what's helped with that, supporting growth of mind, is cultivating presence and balance with meditation. I use Headspace app. I meditate 5 to 10 minutes every day. One of the most powerful meditation practices on there that is really annoying when you start it is how the app trains you for the practice of noting. It basically takes you from a place where you're focusing on breath, in, out, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you release that focus. You think about anything you want, and then it pulls you back to it. And what that does is it trains your mind to recognize and not stop, but release and look at the thought, to be in a place where I can be curious with the emotion. And I also support growth of mind through visualization. Visualizing my thoughts, decisions, action, responses. I've actually been trying to do this related to my workouts. Like today, I did a workout, and I did that before, and I had a killer workout because my energy was that level, like that success energy when you're done, because I had already visualized taking myself through the workout and it being successful, and I was able to have such a better workout because in my mind I had already done it. Then the big piece here in my values is I want to support a soul at play, because if I'm talking about living the truest version of myself, if that's my vision, I really need my soul to be settled and grounded. So to support that, embracing that less is more. Not every moment of silence needs to be filled with noise. I'm going to approach each day with beginner's mind. Every day is a fresh start. I think that's part of why I enjoy mornings so much, and I actually really like Mondays too. And I think it's because it's the start of a new week, and to me there's just a lot of possibility there. I want to exude love. I recently got some feedback at work that when I get frustrated, it's very jarring and disruptive to the people around me, and that was really powerful message for me to hear, because as much as I'm trying to be present to that, really hearing someone say that affects me reinforces my mission and intent to ground myself in a place of exuding better energy. I want to enjoy the journey. I want to laugh often. I want to cultivate joy and gratitude. People talk a lot about happiness, and I think, again, it's Brené Brown, who I will continue to reference over and over because she is amazing. And if you haven't seen her talk on vulnerability, it's 20 minutes of your life that you need to do, but definitely read her books, watch her talks, they're amazing. But she talks about happiness as a product of circumstance. I will be happy when I have the house, the car, the job, the partner, the salary, the clothes, whatever it is. And that prevents you from being happy in the moment. Joy is something that you can cultivate by finding and owning what you're grateful for. And cultivating gratitude creates joy. And I want to live in a place of joy. I also want to support my soul by allowing myself some grace. and this is one that's kind of a fine line, because that could be used as an excuse. Oh, I'm not going to do my workout. I'm going to give myself some grace today. And yesterday was a good example. My energy was really low, and I had to really hype myself up to go to the gym. And the gym is one of those things every day that I feel so good and I'm so excited to do now that I've gotten back in the rhythm of it. And I was really struggling to get there. And at first I was thinking, I was bargaining. I was like, I'm going to allow myself some grace. Maybe I'll order pancakes on Grubhub. It's Sunday, treat myself. But that wasn't allowing me grace. On my watch, I have a move goal of 1,500 calories a day. And yesterday, I went to the gym. My energy was low. The workout wasn't great, but I got it in, and I did feel much better afterwards. But I was only at maybe like 790 calories at the end of the day. And in that moment, in the past, I would have kind of beat myself up about it, and I would have gone into a line of all or nothing thinking, where the rest of my day was ruined. I'm just going to eat whatever I want, eat junk, numb, all of that, whatever. And I didn't do that. I allowed myself some grace in that moment. Like, I accomplished what I wanted to. I'll allow my grace and say, I don't have to do this above and beyond goal. I'm going to release my expectation on that and consider that a successful moment. Also, to support my soul, this is another Brené Brown thing. In moments of shame, I'm going to shine a light and release them. Shame only exists in the dark. Brené Brown talks about shame versus guilt, and shame is I am bad versus I did a bad thing. And what I'm really feeling joy about is I'm experiencing moments of guilt these days, but I'm not experiencing shame. And in the past, I experienced a lot of shame where I felt I was wrong, I did wrong, I was bad. And now I'm recognizing moments in behavior that might give me guilt, but in that I also can take ownership when it's an action versus it's me. I want to acknowledge the beauty of ordinary moments. I think this is really important for cultivating gratitude. I've had some really amazing moments in the last few weeks, even that I would not have had if I wasn't aware to it. I saw a classic car coming around the corner the other day, and the sun was beating down the street and caught it, and it was just, I sat present in that moment and just kind of took it in, and I see it perfectly right now, and it still makes me very, very joyous. I was at the gym out in Mission Beach, and I was on the roof out in the sun, and this monarch butterfly came. I was the only one up there, and it fluttered around for about a minute, and it was so peaceful, it was so beautiful. That brought me joy. And I think it takes presence to recognize those moments, because we're going so fast. And when I slow down and increase my awareness, I'm able to appreciate those sorts of things. To support my soul, I'm going to admit fault and learn from my mistakes. I think that ties into guilt and to ownership. I'm going to release scarcity and embrace enoughness. And that's why I love the thank you in the morning, because what's our first thought when we wake up in the morning? Oh, I didn't have enough sleep. I'm tired. I've got so much to do. Starting with thank you puts me in a state of gratitude. I'm grateful for the sleep that I have. I'm grateful for the day ahead, instead of, oh, this is so busy. It also supports that energy that's going to put me in a place to exude love. I'm going to cultivate play. I've gotten adult coloring books. I've downloaded like puzzle games on my phone. They're kind of like mindless activities that are still like stimulating to my thought process without being focused on something. I'm going to work on releasing my expectations. And I think that's a big thing. I think my biggest moments of frustration were because I expected this of someone, something, a situation, and that didn't happen. And then I end up making a bigger deal out of it because I have made an expectation that's in all likelihood too high to start with. And then something that, if you've gotten to this point, Jody Mickelson posted on Instagram story. There's the adage, fake it till you make it, and she posted face it till you make it. And what I love about that is the fake it till you make it is fantastic because it's kind of a form of real life visualization. You're in intention setting. You're going to act as if you're already there, but face it till you make it changes it just enough where it requires a level of ownership on your part. And I love that. That really resonated with me. And then I want to connect in life. I want to be social and engage with people on the same path. I want to embrace new social connections. I want to invest time with my family. I've been getting home at Christmas, but I want to get home at least a couple times a year, keeping in better contact with them. I want to travel, explore, and thirst for adventure. I was just in Europe this summer. I want to do Asia. I want to do South America. There's so many places I want to go. And my intention is that I'm going to do that. And I want to create good. I want to be generous. I want to be humble. I want to own that I am in charge of my life and creating something great out of it. I want to live with great style. I want to be an ant marching, always creating forward. That's something that I'm also guilty of. Is I'll have a project and I'll put it off. And as soon as you start it, it's always so much easier than what you would think it would be. Even though this is probably going to be a little long, this is something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I just finally sat down and said, I'm going to do it, and here I am. I'm going to make financially sound choices and continue to improve my credit score, and I've been making some really great progress on that front. I'm going to be a homeowner, hopefully by 2021, hopefully in the same building. And I have make money. So I'm exploring ways to make additional money outside of what I'm doing. I'd love to have, people talk about a side hustle. I just love to get rolling on generating extra income outside of Tipsy Elves. And then, as bold as this sounds, I want to change the world. I'm going to do that with fun at Tipsy Elves. There's a lot of progress that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of at Tipsy Elves right now, so I want to continue that. I have some other ideas for changing the world, in a life after Tipsy Elves that I'm going to start on now. But I reflect on all of that every day, and between practicing gratitude and setting intentions, that really grounds me into how I'm going to operate for the day. And then I do kind of a truth exercise. And this actually is a culmination of a bunch of different memes and posts on Instagram, but it's somehow, I found this inspiration of a day of scrolling through Instagram, and I put it together in something that means something to me. But it starts with, I am ready. Everything is aligning perfectly in my life. It is all falling into place. I'm loving and I'm loved. I am appreciated and appreciative. I am blessed and I'm a blessing. I am grateful and I'm joyfully creating more. I am supported and I'm supportive. I exude peace and I'm living in peace. I thank the universe for helping me be the best that I am destined to be. Beautiful things are ahead in the next chapter. I let go of all of the things that are out of control and move forward with a thankful heart and abundant thoughts. Very soon, I will be in a massively better place for me. I will experience so much joy that everyone around me will be filled with joy and faith themselves. I am open to money coming to me from new ways that I've never imagined. Please, please. Universe, bring it. It's always been there, exactly the same as now, just waiting for me to wake up to it. I'm grateful for where I am, and I really am. And it's taken me a long time to feel that way. I release my expectations in a practice of presence, and I'm joyously working on a path forward. I do that every morning, and then I go to the gym and work out and get my day started. I actually created a habit tracker too, where I just put every habit that I'm trying to do in a day. And if I do it, it's a Google sheet. It's probably the operations side of me that's like, I have to put this in a spreadsheet. So I did. But in the spirit of allowing myself grace, if I miss a day, you would think, oh, mark it red, mark it yellow. And if I get up to 5 days of yellow, then I'll mark it red. But it allows me to say, okay, if I miss it, it's not the end of the world. I haven't ruined my whole day because I didn't do this one thing. But anyway, yeah. We're at 39 minutes, so if you have sat and watched all of this, hopefully you don't think that I'm just rambling nonsense. I'm really proud of the changes that I'm making in my life, and definitely still a work in progress, but I feel, if I talk about joy, I feel a lot of joy for the place that I currently am, and just an incredible amount of optimism about my path forward, and I'm looking forward to continuing to keep on keeping on. Maybe this is thinking it too much, but if anyone has any questions or wants any more details about anything that I'm doing, or how I've got connected with resources, or what app or whatever I'm using. I sound like such an influencer. I have 200 followers. You all know me, I'm sure. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna keep posting inspirational, cheesy memes. I didn't talk about the Enneagram. That'll be a whole other conversation, but if you haven't checked it out, check it out. For now, that's everything I have. Much love to y'all. Bye.